The Israeli regime has backtracked on plans to enforcement of a decision requiring Israeli army personnel and guards to leave their guns at work. The decision was scheduled to take effect on July 1st. The regime several months ago decided to ban security guards from taking their guns at home at the end of their shifts. The order came after the killing of a woman by her partner who worked as an armed security guard at a school. But now, the regime has cited the possible outbreak of security disturbances over a planned annexation of parts of the occupied West Bank as the reason for delaying the enforcement of the decision. So why did authorities backtrack on their gun control plans?
בתחילת הרעיון חשוב להסביר לצופים שישראל היא מקרה שונה מכל המדינות הקיימות בעולם בעניין יחסי חברה-צבא. רוב מדינות העולם הן מדינות גדולות שיש להן צבא קטן שמגן על הגבולות שלהן. ישראל היא מקרה הפוך. ישראל היא צבא ענק שיש לו מדינה קטנה. זה אחד הצבאות הכי גדולים שיש בעולם, ויש לו מדינה מאוד קטנה. וזה מייצר יחסי חברה וצבא ופסיכולוגיה מאוד שונה לחברה. חשוב שהצופים גם ידעו שכל האזרחים היהודים, חוץ מהחרדים, הולכים לצבא. היום גם חלק מהחרדים הולך לצבא, גברים ונשים. וחייבים לשרת נשים 2, גברים 3 שנים. כלומר, כל החברה היא צבא. שזה בונה חברה מאוד שונה, גם ברמה החברתית, גם ברמה הנפשית וגם ברמה הפוליטית. עכשיו, למה המדינה משנה את העניין של היחס שלה לנשק? כי בתקופה האחרונה יש המון שימוש בנשק ויש המון אלימות. החברה הישראלית התדרדרה בשנים האחרונות ברמה מאוד גדולה כלפי הימין והימין הקיצוני, ויש עכשיו אידיאולוגיה שמצדיקה את האלימות, והאלימות הזאת גולשת אל תוך החברה.
An earlier report by Haaretz newspaper estimated the number of weapons possessed by private security guards at around 31,000, while firearms in the hands of ordinary citizens were estimated at 148,000. And that does not even consider the large number of weapons carried outside of military and police bases and storehouses by members of Israeli security forces. Over the years, the Israeli regime has been making it easier for average Israelis to obtain gun licenses. But instead of increasing security, it has only put more people, especially women, at risk. What are the risks of Israel's lax gun rules?
אני חושב שישראל היא אחד המקומות הכי פחות בטוחים בכלל בכל העולם. קודם כל, ישראל היא מדינה כובשת. והיא מדכא עם של מיליוני בני אדם, ולהם אין שום תחושת ביטחון. גם תחושת הביטחון של הפלסטינים בתוך מדינת ישראל, הפלסטינים אזרחי מדינת ישראל, כמעט 1,700,000 איש, גם להם אין כמעט תחושת ביטחון. אז ישראל היא מקום מאוד לא בטוח ואלים ביחס לכל מדינה מתוקנת אחרת בעולם.
Right now in Israel, there's a lot of small businesses that are running out of money, shutting down. A lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of protest. In this kind of situation, where a second lockdown may well be underway, and where the economic situation is quite uncertain, to allow guards to take their guns home is absolute madness. The Israeli regime is adding fuel to the fire.
Israel's Public Security Ministry has been promoting its plan to hand out guns since 2015. In October 2015, citing Palestinian retaliatory attacks on Israeli soldiers, the Israeli Public Security Ministry issued an order easing up on getting a gun license. In March 2016, the Knesset decided that due to the security situation, security guards will be allowed to carry weapons outside their places of work. In October 2017, in response to a potential reconciliation agreement between Fatah in the occupied West Bank and Hamas in the besieged Gaza Strip, the ministry announced that it would encourage all Israeli citizens to carry firearms in order to provide better personal security. In July 2018, the ministry announced that it was encouraging thousands of citizens to carry guns and that every citizen who has undergone military combat training would be eligible to obtain a license. This technically allowed over 800,000 to carry arms. Does Israel's gun policy revolve around Palestinians?
The Israeli settlers operating in the occupied West Bank are pretty much armed militias. They can shoot innocent Palestinians and get away with it. In fact, there's been various murders of Palestinians and there's been many unaccounted murders. What the Israeli colonialists can do is just to claim that stones were thrown at them and that their lives were in danger, and their versions are taken at face value by the Israeli court system very frequently. So you have a situation where some of the population is armed, but the Palestinians are not armed, and it's an unfair ballgame.
That was then. The scheme that was supposed to have made Israelis feel secure didn't work because these same people who were bringing their firearms home or were obtaining firearms through the encouragement of the Israeli Public Security Ministry were killing Israelis. So instead, violence has increased and the main victims were Israeli civilians, including women and immigrants. Small arms policy in Israel is a policy of life and death. It determines who is authorized to purchase, hold and operate a tool that unleashes lethal force at the pull of a trigger. It determines where, when, and under what circumstances the trigger finger is to be used and what type of oversight gun owners and shooters are subject to.
חשוב להסביר כאן שכמעט כל החברה בישראל היא נמצאת עם נשק בידיים כל הזמן. בגלל שמדינת ישראל, כמדינה כובשת, שמה את עצמה במצב מבחינתה ביטחוני מאוד קשה, יש כל הזמן חיילים ואנשי ביטחון שונים מסתובבים עם נשק בכל מקום, לא רק באזור הגבול. אני הייתי למשל סטודנט באוניברסיטה, היה רגיל שאנשים נכנסים עם נשק לאוניברסיטה. אתה עולה באוטובוס בישראל, רגיל שיש לך חיילים עם נשק בתוך האוטובוס במדינת ישראל. לא משנה איפה אתה נמצא, יש אנשים עם נשק. עכשיו, כשהחברה התדרדרה בשנים האחרונות אל מקום מאוד קשה, שגם נותן גושפנקה אידיאולוגית לשימוש בנשק כלפי הפלסטינים, זה התחיל לגלוש גם כלפי היהודים עצמם וכלפי חלק מהחברה, וזה הפך למקום מאוד לא בטוח.
The rising number of gun ownership in Israel has made the conversation on social media. According to Gary Smith, not just Jews, every good citizen should take charge of their own safety. Police can't be everywhere. According to Raymond Coley, also in Israel you need police certificate to buy a handgun. Mental background check is also done. But in the US, people might claim it's invasion of privacy. Sorry, we do need to give up something here to protect our kids and everyone else. Dr. Foxon says that she's so sick of this argument. If guns were illegal, less people would have them. Period. End of discussion. Alan Fisher says, while citing Israel's Channel 10, 300,000 guns in private hands in Israel, including security guards, tied to number of recent murders. What about Israelis? What did they think about all this? Do Israelis agree that guns should be so easily available? Should military personnel and guards leave their guns at work?
אני בנגד כל צורה של אלימות, וספציפית אלימות נגרמת בשימוש של נשק. אחת הדרכים הכי יעילות לעצור את המציאות הזו היא דרך הארכת הדרך שאדם צריך עד להשתמש בנשק. קיומו של הנשק במרחב הבית נותן הזדמנות ואפשרות קלה לשימוש, לעומת אם לוקחים את הנשק ממרחב הבית. יש קשר משמעותי בין אלימות לנשק, שקיום הנשק בצורה גדולה עם האזרחים יגדיל את האלימות הנגרמת מנשק, כי פשוט נשק נמצא נגיש לאזרח וקל לשימוש בו. ויש הרבה מחקרים שתומכים בטענה הזו. אני נגד כל צורה של אלימות, וספציפית אלימות כתוצאה מנשק. אחת הדרכים הכי יעילים לעצור את המציאות הזו היא דרך הארכת הדרך שאדם צריך עד להשתמש בנשק. קיומו של הנשק במרחב הבית נותן הזדמנות ואפשרות. נשק עם אזרחים הוא עניין לא טבעי בכלל. אנחנו לא רואים את האזרחים באירופה מסתובבים עם נשק בכיס, שזה מעיד על מהי הנורמה לגבי נשיאת נשק. לאור המציאות הקיימת, אין סיבה טובה לקיום כמות גדולה של נשק ביד האזרחים, ואני מציע לכולם להתנגד לקיום של נשק עם האזרחים.
Here in Israel, small arms policy molds culture, behavior, habits, and social environments. It constructs a particular consciousness and educates youth. It is also reciprocally formed by all of those same elements. At least 60% of all applications for gun permits are accepted. The illegal settlers living in occupied Palestinian territories are actually encouraged by authorities to keep weapons on hand. Israelis living in occupied territories, known as settlers, who received all the benefits of Israeli citizens within pre-1948 Palestine, are militarily trained to shoot Palestinians under the pretext that they were possibly going to commit an attack. Firearms are already prevalent among settlers. Former high-ranking army officials are permitted to carry weaponry, and summer camps in Israel have also been known to teach children as young as 10 how to use rifles.
Well, I think everybody's a victim in this situation. I mean, who's dying? Well, we know that women are dying disproportionately. We know that people are dying by suicide, and I suspect a lot of those are IDF veterans. There's a surprisingly high incidence of PTSD in IDF veterans, and you might ask, well, why? I mean, they're rarely put in danger. But there's another way to get PTSD. When you are killing innocent civilians or watching them be killed, and you don't want to be a part of that, that creates a moral injury, and that is just as severe as the kind of symptoms of PTSD you can get from killing people yourself. It's not uncommon. There's a fair amount of concern about PTSD in Israel, but I sincerely doubt that they're attributing it to moral injury, because that would be admitting that what they're doing is wrong.
Israel has often been accused of perpetuating a gun culture by allowing Jewish residents to act with impunity in using firearms, a trend that Palestinians have called incitement. A poll by the Israel Democracy Institute found that over half of Israeli citizens support the extrajudicial killings of Palestinians accused of attacks on the spot, even after their arrest. A report by Human Rights Watch earlier this year also found that senior military officers have been promoting such a practice on the ground, irrespective of whether the Palestinians pose a threat to life. Why are indigenous Arab populations the victims of gun violence?
תופעות האלימות והשימוש בנשק בין האזרחים במדינה, ברור שהם האזרחים הפלסטינים. המיעוט הערבי הפלסטיני במדינת ישראל הם הקורבנות הכי גדולים למצב האלים שבו אנחנו נמצאים. ישראל כמדינה שיש לה מנטליות גזענית ומעדיפה יהודים על כל הלא יהודים, שזה בעיקר האזרחים הפלסטינים במדינת ישראל, הביאה למצב שכביכול יש שתי מערכות ביטחון במדינה. יש שתי מערכות משטור במדינה. כאשר הקורבן הוא יהודי, יש לנו מערכת ביטחונית מאוד חזקה שעובדת להביא את הפושע ולהעמיד אותו לדין ושישלם מחיר על פשעיו. וכאשר הקורבן הוא ערבי, יש לנו מערכת שמתייחסת אחרת לגמרי, והפושעים כמעט ולא עומדים לדין וכמעט לא מגיעים למשפט, ולכן ישנו מצב של אנרכיה טוטלית בקרב המיעוט הערבי הפלסטיני בכל מה שנוגע לענייני נשק וביטחון אישי.
Israeli Arabs, or the indigenous population of Israel, has long been possibly one of the biggest victims of firearms. Since the beginning of 2020, at least 46 Arab Israelis have been murdered, and 12 of them in May alone. But so far, only 5 murders have been solved by the police. The community has blamed Israeli authorities for neglecting their cities and towns. The community's dissatisfaction is a result of insufficient everyday policing combined with the over-policing of political demonstrations. Alienation between the police and the Arab public exacerbated in 2000 when the police brutally killed 13 Arab protesters with impunity, according to the Washington-based Carnegie Endowment for International Peace think tank. It worsened again in 2017 as a result of 2 issues: the continued police killings of Arab citizens and the demolition of buildings in the city of Qalanswa in central Israel. Moreover, back in July 2018, Israel passed the Jewish nation-state law, which declares Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people, downgrades Arabic from an official language to a language with special status, and encourages the development of Jewish settlements. These recent developments only heighten the sense of hostility and alienation Arabs feel emanating from Israel and its institutions. What are the politics behind Israel's gun violence?
From 2002 until 2013, when Israel had a very liberal gun control mechanism where they would allow guards to take their guns home, there were about 3 murders every year carried out by these same guns that were allowed by the regime. Then once that was stopped and they had to leave the guns at work, these murders stopped as well. When the parliament was discussing this issue, there was an Israeli guard who told, there was an Israeli citizen who told the parliamentarians that both of his parents and his grandmother were shot in his home. And his plea was ignored by the parliamentarians, and now they're going ahead again and allowing guards to take their guns home.
The illicit gun trade in Israel thrives, and the police can barely catch up. Israel police confiscated 3,250 illegally held firearms as of June 2020. Additionally, according to a police press release, police arrested 1,713 suspects for alleged firearms-related crimes, and 653 people were indicted following investigations. The release pointed out that it would be nearly impossible to unearth these hidden guns without inside sources working for them in communities. Police claim that hardly a day goes by without them confiscating such weapons. Israeli police confiscated 600 pistols and 100 hand grenades, as well as several landmines and plastic explosives since January 2020. The weapons are usually kept by criminals who use them to commit acts of violence that target people and other gang members. As of 2017, the number of both illicit and legal firearms in Israel is over 557,000. According to gunpolicy.org, is Israel gradually becoming like the US with regards to gun ownership?
Again, I don't have statistics, but certainly gun ownership is increasing. It's increasing in the United States too. but I don't think that's so much from new people buying guns. There's some of that, but by people stocking up on guns and ammunition who already had guns. In the United States, it's considered a constitutional right, and that's a big issue. They're afraid, people, not everybody, but a lot of people who own guns are afraid that the government will take away their guns. This is not the same thing in Israel. The government is trying to get them to take guns. They're encouraging that. So I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's a different culture because also in Israel, of course, it's almost everyone there who is in Israel, at least up into their early 20s, is a veteran, except for some of the Orthodox Jews. But I mean, those people, I don't know how many of them leave the military thinking they need a gun to be safe, and how many of them maybe are sickened by what they've done and don't want to have anything to do with guns. They used to make them give them back, as I said earlier, when they left the military, and they still do with enlisted men and women. And I think there's probably a good reason for that. You know, if they're trained to kill and they're trained to regard the people they're confronting as the enemy, it's dangerous to send those people out into society, just like it is in the United States, where we have a militarized police now it's causing riots, the reaction against the militarized police who regard the public as the enemy. I'm sure there's some of that spillover, especially with Israeli Arabs.
A significant expansion of the pool of people eligible for gun licenses are based, of course, on their national origin and military training. Israel also eased processes for renewing existing licenses, making renewal all but automatic. Repeated public announcements actively encourage people to arm themselves, to carry guns at all times, and most of all, to use them Hollywood style. That is, a fast draw and a lethal aim, supposedly riding to the rescue of innocents faced by bad guys. After years of coming under scrutiny by Israelis who have been victims of gunfire, the ministry finally decided that it was time to prohibit guards, police, and military members from taking their firearms home after work. The decision was made earlier this year. Now, this is not the case anymore, as these entities are allowed to take their guns home with them. Israel wants to have a similar gun policy to the US. It wants all citizens to carry weapons as it feels it cannot protect everyone. And now for the news making the press in Israel. The Jerusalem Post. A poll published by Channel 13 says that some 61% of those polled are dissatisfied with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's overall management of the coronavirus crisis. Netanyahu and the regime have come under intense scrutiny as the number of cases in Israel has risen dramatically since the reopening of the economy at the beginning of June. Ynet News. The coronavirus pandemic leaves thousands of Israelis fighting to feed their family. Even before the coronavirus outbreak, multiple households were barely able to make ends meet, but the crisis has proven to be a fatal blow to many newly jobless in Israel who cannot see a way to stay above the poverty line. The Times of Israel. The Israeli military sees massive jump in COVID-19 cases, nearly tripling in 9 days. The number of soldiers in quarantine also more than doubles in a week and a half as Israel is rocked by second wave of the coronavirus pandemic. Globes. Thousands of Israelis demonstrate in Tel Aviv in protest against the regime's delays and failures in providing assistance to people whose occupations and businesses had been harmed by measures to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The demonstration took place exactly 9 years after the start of the social protests of 2011, which mainly concerned the cost of living, and in which organizations of the self-employed also participated. I-24 News. Police arrest 16 ultra-Orthodox protesters taking to their streets to voice their anger against the closure of their communities. Protesters there compared Israeli special forces and police to Nazis for using violence against them.